Good morning. Today is Friday, December 11th. I'll walk you through today's assignments. All right, so similar to what we've been doing, you are going to be reading, working on the Scrooge transformation, and answering the close read questions in Polaris. So let's go ahead and take a look. You are going to be reading and snotting Act 1, Scene 5, the last scene of Act 1. And we're going to tackle the character transformation for Scrooge. So let's go ahead to that character transformation document. If you still don't have it, which you really should by now, so please get this opened up. Fiction folder, Christmas Carol folder, Scrooge character transformation. Okay. I will mention there were some people who were emailing me saying they were struggling to get the video for Scene 3 to work. Now, if you can't get that video to work, I suggest going to YouTube and just typing in Act 1, Scene 3 of Christmas Carol, and then watch any of the videos. For the most part, they all give you the exact same thing. They're pretty good at sticking to the script and everything like that. So if that video won't work for you, you can look up a different one and answer the questions based on that video. The only difference is the timestamps probably won't match up. So if you do watch a separate video, don't use my minute markers in the questions. And if you end up having to watch a different video and you do horrible, let me know and I can let you retake it, okay? So anyway, back to Scrooge character transformation. So for Act 1, Scene 1, you should have completed this one already, but just in case, I want to just work with this one to hopefully help you if you either haven't started yet or if you really are struggling with this chart. I don't want you to struggle with this chart. Don't think too hard. For this one, you are going to be telling me a character trait, telling me what Marley says that shows this character trait, and then finding evidence to support what Marley says. So it's easiest, in my opinion, to work backwards, and I'll show you with this example here. So we've got this quote here. The quote is being spoken by Marley. So it says, "But Scrooge was not so cut up by the sad event of my death, but he was an excellent man of business on the very day of my funeral." So I'm going to ask myself, what is Marley saying here? And while I ask myself that, I'm going to type it in the Marley says box. So what Marley is saying here is that Scrooge was not sad on the day of Marley's funeral because he made a lot of money at work that day. Okay, because that's what this quote is saying. Scrooge wasn't sad on the day of the funeral because he was an excellent businessman on that day, meaning he did really well at work, got a lot of money. It was a great business day. So that's what Marley says. Now I need to ask myself, okay, what character trait is shown through this? I need to find a character trait. Now, if I can't think of one off the top of my head, maybe I want to come up here and click on this list of negative character traits. And boom, I have a huge list of character traits that I can use. And if I don't know what a word means, I can click on it and it will give me the definition. The definition is emotionally hardened or cold, cold-hearted, frigid, icy. So then I am going to go back here and ask myself, someone who isn't sad on the day of his friend's funeral because he ended up making money. That seems pretty cold and lacking emotion. So I'm going to go with that word, callous. Great, I'm done. Now I get to move on to this next section. So this one, I've given you what Marley says. So Marley says that people will not speak to him when they see him on the street, ignoring him because of how Scrooge treats others. I need a quote. I need a quote of Marley saying this. So I would need to look in paragraph 3 of Act 1, Scene 1. So I'm going to get that opened up. This might be the wrong act. This is Act 2. Let me open up my Act 1. Oops, sorry. Computer is being slow, which I'm sure you're all familiar with those Chromebooks. All right, so here's my Act 1, and I need to go to what paragraph? Oops. Paragraph 3. Okay. So then I'm going to go down to paragraph 3. 1, 2, 3. Light fades up, stage right on Scrooge in his counting house, counting. On the window behind Scrooge reads Scrooge and Marley. Tight on Scrooge's head and shoulders. We should not see the office setting. Music. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading. England's most tight-fisted hand. This one, secret, self-contained, solitary. Okay, maybe. Yeah, I like that one. So he's self-contained, solitary. That would mean that he doesn't go around people. So then up on my document, I would put that in here. And then I would come up with a character trait. And they even said that he's secret. So secretive. And I would work with that. Now, hopefully you've noticed when I move on to Act 1, Scene 2, these are different. Okay, so now it's not asking you what Marley says and then text evidence. Apologize. You still need a character trait, but now it's wanting text evidence in this column and then explain the character interactions he has to prove the character trait. So now you're looking for text evidence that shows a character interaction. So, for example, the sarcastic. So we're saying he is sarcastic. This quote, "What right do you have to be merry? What reason do you have to be merry? You're poor enough." This is him being sarcastic. So he's saying, like, he says, you're so poor, you have no right to be happy. And then we have the way Scrooge speaks to his own nephew shows his sarcasm and his lack of consideration for his nephew's feelings. So I've explained how this quote shows the character interaction that reveals sarcasm. Same thing down here. Now, Scrooge, I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I hope to support the establishment that I have mentioned. They cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there. So now I have to decide what character trait this is showing. So Scrooge, this was when the two men came in and were asking for a donation for the poor, and obviously Scrooge was bitter and did not give a donation. So I'm going to have to ask myself, okay, what character trait is being revealed here? And then how does the interaction between those two men show the character trait? Same thing down here. I've given you the paragraphs to look in to find ungenerous. Scene 3 was done for you. Hopefully you figured that one out. I knocked that out for you since I wanted you to just enjoy the video. Then Scene 4. Same thing, you're finding a character trait, evidence, and then explain what Scrooge's interaction with himself and his interaction with the ghosts reveals about him. So make sure that you're answering that specific question. You only had 2 boxes to fill out there. And then now you're on to Act 1, Scene 5. So again, character trait, as always. Now, text evidence that supports a character trait, and then explain how the interaction Scrooge relives from his past influences his perspective. So essentially, when the ghost of Christmas past takes him to see his old boarding school and his old place of work, how do these experiences help to change his perspective on Christmas or on the way you treat others? So, how is he beginning to change his perspective? That's what you're telling me here. This one across the top is completely filled out, so use it as a guide. So we have, he is lonely. Here's a quote. Poor boy. He lived inside his head, alone. Poor boy. Scrooge is talking about himself when he was a child. He's saying how sad it is that this poor little boy was all alone. And then here's the explanation. So, seeing his younger self, Scrooge is reminded of how lonely he was as a child, showing him how lonely he is now as an adult. So, in other words, the perspective, he didn't quite realize how lonely he is now until he looked back and saw how lonely he was as a little kid and realized that never really changed. So now we've got guilty. You want to find an example of him feeling guilty in paragraph 76 of Act 1, Scene 5. And it's going to show Scrooge interacts with his past self. And here's the promise young Scrooge made to be a wonderful boss. So you're looking for that quote. Look somewhere within paragraph 76 to find him making that promise, and then you'll put that quote there. For this one, this should be a no-brainer. You're going to read the quote, "Remove me, I cannot bear it." So ask yourself, what kind of character trait is being shown here? If he's suddenly so overwhelmed with what he's seeing that he wants to go back home. Take me home. I can't take it anymore. Put a character trait there and then tell me how this is showing his change. Okay? Now, that's the Scrooge character transformation. Let's see what else we got going on today. And then the close read question. So if I'm looking at Act 1, I'm going to click the bookmark to jump straight to Scene 5. And then you should be answering these as you read. And then you'll take your answers from here and you will put them directly into Act 1, Scene 5 close reads. The exact answers you put on the document, you're going to take and you're going to put into these close read questions. Okay, this is to hold you accountable, to show me that you are reading and you are doing your work. Okay, so once you do them, you get points for them. That's pretty easy points there. I am going to be sending out emails today to those of you who have a failing grade. Please do not panic. Let me know if you need help with anything. I want to make sure that we can get ourselves caught up before Christmas break so you can have a smooth sailing Christmas break, come back, and we can knock out quarter 2 and just cruise right into quarter 3, no issues, okay? So be looking for that. Other than that, have a great weekend and let me know if you need any help with anything.